So I'm going to come back in here and set both of these platforms up for this in-flight FFT-based harmonic notch filter setup because I think it's kind of a dynamic thing. It's not quite as sterile as the rest of them. I hope. So we'll connect back to the little 5-inch. Oops. Guess we have to power it up, don't we? And connect to it. All right. Now, what I'm going to do here is this feature is included in autopilots with 2 megabytes of memory. I think this has that. Check your autopilot's list of firmware limitations by board to determine if your autopilot has this feature. Gyro FFT. Also, only one FFT base notch can be set up. I have looked at this in the past. This really list doesn't ATEC H743 gyro. Well, let's just skip this down in that list, didn't it? Included. Gyro FFT. GYRO. Well, I don't see it here. And everything here is a no for included. So does that infer that even though gyro FFT is not in this list, it is enabled because all of these are a no? Man, isn't that absolutely crazy? Well, I guess we set it up and we see if it does anything. God. Isn't that something? Unbelievable. So we're connected to the little 5-inch. First of all, we'll come in here. And we'll set up our mask again real quick. Nope. So I'll look at this real quick, but I am going to go change some other things. Control V. We're going to enable this by changing this to a 1. I'm going to write that perimeter out. And if we refresh perimeters, FFT underscore will show us all the parameters. And it says basically this is defaults are all cool. I like that. FFT enabled to 1 requires you reboot. Visible. Run a self check on frequency. Let's see what happened out there for that. FFT calibrated. That tells me that this is working. So Everybody likes it. So now we can go back in here. LOG_BAT. Option is still a 2. I want to set this back to pre and post because I want them both. And mask I had turned off. I want that for IMU1. And we can write those out. That should get us where we want to be, except for INS_H NTCH. Oops, it's over there. And this mode right here, need to set it to 4 for dynamic. Quite frankly, we're going to set these other things to their defaults. 3, 80, 1, and 40. That's not the default because it's enabled. These all others are at defaults. So I think that's the only thing I needed to do in here was set this to a 4 for dynamic FFT. And that gets me ready to look at my data flash logs again from the first IMU, and I'm doing pre and post. And I can get out of this. Yeah, this is what I did over there just now because I knew I had to. H reference equal to 1. Reference equals 1. Reference equal to 1. So this one does need to go to a 1 from the default. Got it enabled. Got it set to 4. Got reference set to 1. For most users with other FT related advanced parameters at their default, which they are, this is all that is required. The user can do optimizations of the filtering set up by analyzing the test flight logs and adjusting notch bandwidth if desired by following the in-flight FFT advanced setup. I'm going to run it once before I go into this, but I'm going to go ahead and pull this up in another tab. Setting can be done automatically on a switch on the radio. Using in-flight FFT can result in poorer performance than a properly set up throttle-based notch filter, since the FFT computations take time and can lag actual required center frequency. In-flight FFT is useful when the rotor frequencies of the vehicle vary widely, as in heavy lift. Under load, the vibrations would be different than if it was just hovering with no load. Operating with high and low loads. Yeah. It can be useful. Is setting up throttle-based notch filters. However, in-flight FFT advanced setup, see those. And it talks about some little setups. I'll do these analysis flights on that, but I think that's how I'm going to set it up. I should come back and re-look at this. If your autopilot supports it, i.e. has more than 2 megabytes of flash, I think it does, in-flight FFT, where a running FFT is done in flight to determine the primary noise frequency and adjust the notch filter center frequency to match. This is probably the best mode if autopilot is capable of running this feature. This mode also works on fixed wing only airplanes. Best mode if the autopilot is capable of running this feature. Okay, so we'll leave that there like that. Well, hopefully this will be the last flight. Trying to do more than just a gentle hover. Whoops. Look at all them leaves on the ground. It's July. That ain't supposed to happen until the fall. I think it just got so hot the past few weeks, it just ripped some of the leaves right off the trees. Okay. I think that's enough time. Wow, no crash again. Oops, shouldn't have said that. Alright, let's see what that gave us. I'm going to just throw away the last data. Don't need to keep this stuff. So we will run in. The battery for the 7-inch is charged. We'll grab these data flash logs. And we'll clear them out of the platform. We just need the program. We don't need to be connected to the platform anymore. And there we are. Well, these look pretty good. Tops at -10. Now the top's at -50. That's knocking it down a lot. Top here at -50, 45-ish, which would be right in here. Yeah, it's knocking it down too. All right, I'm going to go with that. I like that. So what do I have to do to this platform? I think the only thing I technically have to do is come into this mask. think it's the mask. Need to change the mask back to 0. That'll stop it from logging batch data for that option. Write that. I think that's pretty much got the little 5-inch ready. And this is where we're going to fly it for auto tune. So I can now save this to the perimeter save I want to, which will be this one. And we can actually go back in there and just get rid of this temp one. Delete. Now I'm going to do that same thing for the 7-inch, and then they'll both be ready for auto tuning. I don't know what else needs to be said about this, except for I could not find a video on the internet anywhere to help me with this stuff. It really was a bummer. So I'm trying to work through it. Of course, if something happens to one of these platforms, this will be the first place I will be suspicious of being the problem, the notch filters. But I think I've got both these platforms. I haven't actually done the 7-inch yet, but I think I've got both of these platforms basically ready for auto tune, and I'm going to go with that. I am only about 90% confident, but sometimes you just have to go with what you got and do the best you can. And as there are no videos on this, I can't really find any help. Or the other thing that I'm after when I publish these videos is somebody to come up and say, "Oh man, you got that all wrong. It works this way." I set the 7-inch up exactly like the little 5-inch. Okay, let's see if we can get this in before the rain starts. I'm going to have an afternoon rainstorm here. This is set up with FFT filters running, and it's got the PIDs in it that were tuned, so it really does fly well. I just don't have much room here to do stuff with it. Oops, bounced another one. It's an expensive leaf blower. Oops.
Motor disabled.
Wanted to test that again. Let's go look at the logs. I went ahead and downloaded the logs so we can look at them real quick. Look at it, not them. And again, this looks much better than what I saw when I was doing the throttle based, just because you see how these graphs sort of overlay each other on the gyro now. Matter of fact, this overlays even better after the filtering than it does here. It's a little bit out of sync there, and terribly so here. Tops above 10. Tops minus 40 now, so it's tops way down here. That's being attenuated. 40 on the top here, minus 70 on the bottom. Minus 70 would be right here. It's well attenuated. Probably could be tuned a little more, but I think that's flyable. So if I come in here, I think really the only thing I have to do is ins_log BAT to turn this mask right here off. I don't want any logging going on anymore. Write that perimeter out, and I think the 7-inch would say it's ready for auto tuning, but it's already been auto tuned. Its PIDs are great. It really does work well. But now then I want to save them to this. Overwrite that. That's the way I'm going to fly it. I can come in there and get rid of this temp I was using during these tests. So I think that is ready to fly. So that's the two platforms. Again, I wish there were some videos out there to help me with this. Or after somebody watches these, they go, oh, that's just totally, you so messed up, son, it ain't even funny. Here's the way it really works. I don't care which. If I get given knowledge from somebody else, I'll take it every time rather than reproduce it myself. So the little 5-inch does have to be auto-tuned. The 7-inch is ready for just normal flying. I don't really have to auto-tune it, in my humble opinion. All right. Thank you, guys.